The real reason Barristan Selmy left King's Landing after Robert's death. The bells of King's Landing tolled in mourning, but inside the Red Keep, the air was heavy with more than grief. Welcome to the channel. Subscribe if you love House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, and deep dives into Westerosi lore. Let's begin. Robert Baratheon was dead. His warhammer would never swing again. And in the throne room, the men who called themselves kingsmen were already moving pieces on a board stained with blood and betrayal. In the midst of this, Sir Barristan Selmy, the most honorable knight of his generation, faced a choice that would define the rest of his life. Within days, the white cloak he had worn for decades would be stripped from his shoulders, and the great Barristan the Bold would walk away from the court he had served all his life. In Game of Thrones, Sir Barristan's departure after Robert's death is one of the most shocking turns for a character defined by loyalty. But why did it really happen? Was it betrayal from others? A moral stand? Or something even deeper, a clash between honor and survival? Today, we're uncovering the real reason Barristan Selmy left King's Landing after Robert's death, and why that moment still matters to the story of Westeros. Who was Barristan Selmy? The knight who lived by the sword of honor. To understand Barristan's choice, we first have to understand the man himself. Sir Barristan Selmy was more than just a member of the Kingsguard. He was its soul. Known throughout the realm as Barristan the Bold, he had been knighted at the age of 16 by King Aegon V, and his life thereafter became the stuff of legend. He had unhorsed Prince Duncan the Tall in a tourney. He had defeated the Kingswood Brotherhood and freed hostages without shedding innocent blood. He had fought in the War of the Ninepenny Kings, in Robert's Rebellion, and in countless duels where his honor and skill kept him alive. Barristan served 3 kings before Robert: Jaehaerys II, Aerys II, the Mad King, and then Robert himself. Through it all, he clung to one ideal. The white cloak of the Kingsguard was for life. A knight swore to protect the king, to protect his family, and to serve faithfully until death. And Barristan was not a man who broke oaths lightly. The death of Robert Baratheon, the kingdom in the balance. Robert Baratheon's reign had been chaotic, but for all his faults, he was a known quantity. His death on a boar hunt in the Kingswood, whether through accident or the schemes of Cersei Lannister, left the realm in a dangerous position. In the capital, the Lannisters moved swiftly. Cersei seized control of the royal council, placed her son Joffrey on the throne, and began purging anyone who might oppose her. Eddard Stark, Robert's hand, was arrested. Those who had been loyal to Robert were suddenly viewed with suspicion. Barristan Selmy found himself in an impossible situation. His duty as Lord Commander of the Kingsguard was to serve the king, and by the laws of the realm, that meant Joffrey. But Barristan had seen enough in his life to know when a ruler was unworthy. The Kingsguard's oath versus political reality. The Kingsguard was meant to be above politics. But in practice, the white cloak often became a pawn in political games. Barristan had served under Aerys II, a king who burned his subjects alive. He had stood by his atrocities were committed, believing his oath bound him to obey. That loyalty had haunted him ever since. Now, with Joffrey on the throne, a cruel, arrogant boy manipulated by his mother, Barristan saw history repeating itself. But unlike during Aerys' reign, this time the court was not merely asking him to stand by. They were pushing him out entirely. The dismissal, a public humiliation. In the show, the moment is unforgettable. The court is assembled. Cersei, Joffrey, and the small council sit in judgment. Barristan is called forward, and instead of receiving orders, he's told he's being relieved of duty. The reasoning? They claim he's too old, too slow, no longer fit to protect the king. In truth, it was about removing a man they could not control. Barristan was loyal to the crown, not to the Lannisters, and that made him dangerous. The humiliation was deliberate, stripping him of his armor and ordering him to retire. In the books, they even offer him lands and a seat in the council, as though honor could be bought. Barristan's response is legendary. Even now, I could cut down all of you, before you could take a step. Then he casts down his sword and leaves the throne room, not as a defeated man, but as one who will never serve corruption. The real reason he left. Here's the truth. Barristan Selmy did not simply leave. He was forced out. But the deeper reason was this. Barristan could not and would not serve a king he did not respect. Yes, his oath bound him to protect the king. But the king he had sworn to serve, Robert Baratheon, was dead. The boy on the throne was a product of Lannister ambition, and Barristan knew it. Furthermore, he saw the rot in King's Landing's politics. He had lived through the downfall of House Targaryen, witnessed Robert's indifference to ruling, and now saw the Lannisters' grip tightening. To stay would be to become complicit in whatever came next. Executions, wars, and the slow death of honor in the realm. And so, when they tried to humiliate him, Barristan took the only honorable path left. He walked away, refusing their gold, refusing their titles, and later seeking out someone he deemed worthy, Daenerys Targaryen. Barristan's next chapter, from the Iron Throne to Essos. After leaving King's Landing, Barristan didn't simply retire. He sailed to Essos, seeking out Daenerys. In her, he saw the qualities of a ruler the realm desperately needed: justice, mercy, and strength. Joining her was, in many ways, an act of redemption. He had failed to protect the Targaryens during Robert's rebellion. Now, he could help one reclaim her birthright. But it was also a rejection of the corruption he'd left behind in King's Landing. For Barristan, serving Daenerys wasn't just about loyalty to a bloodline. It was about loyalty to a vision of a better Westeros. Did Barristan plan to leave anyway? Some fans argue that Barristan's dismissal was inevitable, not because of his age, but because he was already a threat to the Lannisters. The theory goes that Barristan had quietly begun distancing himself from the court after Robert's death, and that Cersei's public dismissal was a preemptive strike. Others believe Varys may have subtly nudged him toward Daenerys, seeing him as a valuable asset for her cause. Another theory is that Barristan, having survived so many corrupt kings, was always looking for one last chance to serve with honor, and he knew he would never find that in Joffrey's court. A knight's honor is not in the blade he wields, but in the cause he serves. For decades, Barristan Selmy's cause was the crown of Westeros. But crowns can be tarnished, and thrones can be stolen. When Robert died, so too did Barristan's reason to serve in King's Landing. And so the old knight chose the harder road, to walk away from the only life he'd ever known, in search of a ruler who deserved the steel of Barristan the Bold. In the end, the real reason Barristan left King's Landing was simple, because honor demanded it. And for a man who lived. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a WWE breakdown.